Israel reported that the Trump administration reached out to them back in November to warn them about the impending pandemic. According to a bombshell report, Donald Trump all but hid the impending coronavirus pandemic from the American public for the sake of his own agenda, yet warned both Israel and NATO in November. The Times of Israel claims Israeli television reported recently that U.S. intelligence agencies warned the country of an impending pandemic with coronavirus that was gaining speed in China, a startling 10 months ago. The report alleges, quote, the U.S. intelligence community became aware of the emerging disease in Wuhan in the second week of that month and drew up a classified document, end quote. At the time, there was no public knowledge of the virus or its impending massive blow-up, and was only apparently known to the Chinese government where the life-threatening illness originated. The report states that U.S. intelligence told the Trump administration about the impending pandemic, which, quote, did not deem it of interest, end quote. However, it goes on to state that America ultimately still decided to pass the information and classified documents onto two key allies to the United States, NATO and Israel, and more specifically, the Israel Defense Forces. The report from the Times of Israel continues, quote, the network said Israeli military officials later in November discussed the possibility of the spread of the virus to the region and how it would affect Israel and neighboring countries, end quote. Ultimately, quote, nothing was done, end quote, by Israel's decision makers and the health ministry. ABC News recently reported that a report was prepared back in December of last year by the American military's National Center for Medical Intelligence, warning of the impending pandemic. But it's unclear if it's the same report in question regarding the early intel to Israel. At this point, folks, it's undeniably clear where Donald Trump's allegiances lie. And it is not with the American public. In fact, it is not with America at all.